I'm Riko. I'm from New Zealand. I used to be, before I turned a painter, I was a chemical engineer. I made the transition. I was working in the lab and I thought it wasn't perhaps creative enough or satisfying me creatively in the way that I really wanted. I grew up in, I don't want to say rural New Zealand because New Zealand itself is a rural country.
Yeah.
But I grew up in sort of like the suburbs of New Zealand, but very close to nature always. When I was growing up, you didn't have many things in general compared with Japan. People were very used to improvising and making things for themselves. So, like when I was little, I remember having this lesson with my English teacher actually at the time. And she taught us how to paint using fruits.
Ooh, how do you paint using fruits?
You just smush them and you paint with them because
Wow.
fruit has sugar in them, which acts as a preservative sometimes. And with anything in nature, there's pigments inside in the fruits. And things like passion fruit or mango, they won't get. So I still do make pigments out of flowers. But it's kind of just like, yeah, you get used to sort of, when there isn't many things available, you get used to making your own or improvising. My main subject in art has always been the human relationship with nature, and how we interpret nature is often from just our senses, but also our analytical minds as well. So the science approach is, how do you closely look at nature in a way, whereas the artistic side deals more with things that pertain to a perception. I like to play around with different styles, and I think it's because that's what I'm interested by. I am inspired by so many different styles that it's incredibly difficult to say this is exactly the style I'm going to do. I like abstract, I like illustrative, I like different techniques in painting. But at the base, the subject will always be a study of nature and how humans over time has interpreted them through archaeology and science. So that's always going to be the subject, the unified meta. I've always had lots of interests. Obviously, there's that infatuation with science. I went to school quite young. Yeah, I went to university when I was 14, and that was when I was like, okay, science is what I'll master first. And I was first interested in biology, and then I realized I wasn't so good with blood or dissection or bugs. So I went into chemistry. Back in the day when science was still a very new concept, I guess, say for example a botanist, they were equally, scientific illustration was such a big deal because you couldn't take photographs or anything. So the role of artist and scientist were kind of merged into one. But I think in our day, because research has become something that is so specific in nature, I think that's when people started thinking, no, it's fundamentally practical, when that might not exactly be the case.
Right.
I think I've really found my own little rhythm. So I don't really live a very urban life per se, but I think that's the balance I found, is kind of just living slowly in Tokyo, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And when I first came, I didn't really speak, well, I spoke Japanese, but it wasn't really that great.
Yeah.
So my community was predominantly foreign people. But I think especially in the last couple of years, I've kind of really learned to communicate and network with Japanese people who I share a similar interest to. And that is what I love so much. What I really wanted to do when I came to Japan. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I think each country has its own unique thing to offer, but especially they each come with their own customs and this ambience or atmosphere in which your mannerisms and your attitude completely change. And just being in Japan, obviously, it influences my color palette, the way I think. I think a little bit more logically in Japan. And even an attitude of respect towards things, because I'm paying so much respect in my day-to-day life. I feel like I transfer some of that attitude into my art as well. And because Japanese artists are so well known for their precision and technical abilities, there's so much to learn from, even in like architecture, pottery, everything that's pertaining to arts and crafts. There's this degree of precision and this very unique balance that you can only find in Japan. Even in the way people dress, you know, how fabrics are cut. It's I mean, you're filled with shapes and things like that all around. So it's great. I'm definitely perhaps happy-go-lucky. Being thankful is what I always tell myself. Always be thankful for your company, for your opportunities, for the time you have to live. Very simple rules. Also, there is one thing that I really do. Never lie to yourself. I think that's what I try to do. You can always... My mind's very good at justification. I can come up with a dozen reasons why I should be doing thing A, or a dozen reasons why I should not be doing B. At least you can tell yourself, I can't do this. Or if you're having negative thoughts, you acknowledge them and you say, yes, I am feeling negative, I am feeling jealous, I am feeling incapable, but I can also work through it. You know? It's just recognizing that if I have a problem, I will work for it. And if I love something, if somebody gives me joy, be honest with that as well. I used to be a planner. I used to really plan. And lately I've sort of not planned. Actually, it's interesting you would say that, because when I was 12, I made this goal for myself. I said 28 is going to be my year. When I turn 28, that's going to be the best year I've ever had in my life. And I've always kind of had that. I don't know why. And I'm 28 now. And because I've reached that age that I've kind of always been dreaming towards, I said, you know what? This year, I'm just going to let everything wash over me and not worry, no plan. There are things I want to do. Perhaps go to Italy, do a residency there. There are little things I want to do, but big things I said, actually I don't, for the first time in my life, perhaps, I don't need to have a set direction, and it's just great to enjoy this year, because I've kind of worked with it so much, hyped it so much. Enjoy it, and any experience that you go through is going to become a part of you, so don't worry about doing anything wrong, because there isn't much you can do wrong. I think
well, that is great advice.